An original pressing will set you back about $1,000 US.
Giant orange records.
Hey, I'm Stefan, and welcome to the first installment of what I'm calling my guilt-free vinyl experiment. So here's the deal. I'm building a system to make my vinyl collecting habit more sustainable long-term. What that means is things are going to be more intentional from now on and therefore more fun. I get in the habit of overwhelming myself and probably buying too many records at once, and then I don't always have time to listen to them and appreciate them when they arrive. So my new rule is 1 guilt-free online purchase per month and 1 to 2 in-store purchases per month. And that's it. I've tried going cold turkey, no vinyl. That's really hard to do. I just love the vinyl community. I love going to local record stores. One in particular sounds good. They're my friends. They treat me well. They always have something interesting there. So I feel like I need to participate and get something. Today I'm focusing on my June and July online purchases. And this is a double shot of Merrill Fankhauser albums. These are some obscure psychedelic gems from the late 60s that are very collectible. So first up we have the wonderful Fapper-Dockley album, or is it Fapper-Dokley? I don't know. It's psychedelic folk from 1967. Some of the songs sound like they're from 1964, some sound like they're from 66, some sound a little bit like Buddy Holly or maybe even Richie Valens, but a little bit more 60s sounding than that. And some stuff sounds kind of suspiciously like the Byrds. The influence of 8 Miles High is very noticeable on the track Gone to Pot. I wonder what that might be about. It's almost pretty daring to title a song like that in the 60s. The name Fapper-Dockley, which might not be the most marketable band name of all time, but I've found it to be pretty memorable because it's so unique. It's a combination of the spelling of the band members' names. This 2022 Record Store Day reissue, it's a European Record Store Day reissue, set me back about $20 on Discogs. So hey, I can live with that. An original pressing will set you back about $1,000 US. Whew! So I'm saving myself about $980 with this reissue. I mean, I like this album, but I don't like it that much. I'd be okay with spending $20 on it. I would not be okay with spending $1,000 on it. To me, the quality of the reissue is pretty good. I don't have the original to compare it to, obviously, but it sounds fine. I mean, it's pretty lo-fi sounding. And this was issued in 1983, I believe, with this back cover as the front cover. I kind of like the more colorful cover better. It kind of captures the zeitgeist of the 60s pretty well. The label of this one looks pretty cool too. It's basically just the album cover art on the label. I'm perfectly happy with it. I mean, it's a pretty lo-fi recording, I would imagine, and, you know, most 60s rock was pretty lo-fi. So moving from 1967 all the way to 1968, we have the HMS Bounty, an album called Things. When I first heard the song Girl, I'm Waiting for You, I don't know, I probably heard it on YouTube or something, it just knocked me out. It sounded sort of like the Kinks' Village Green meets the Byrds and their kind of jangly 12-string first incarnation. And then they had another great song called Things Going Round My Head. Now this album has a lot of fuzz guitar on it, and it's probably the better of the two albums. It's definitely a little bit more developed. Again, it's just a giant leap forward in production and songwriting. They go from lo-fi to mid-fi, and I would call this sort of a highly evolved garage rock album, but it has a lot of kind of mid-tempo songs, and it has some sitar on one song, so That's not super typical of garage bands, but this sounds more like one unified band that recorded live in the studio over the course of a few days or maybe a week, whereas the Fapper-Dockley album sounds more like it was recorded over a period of a few years with different musicians. Now, I wasn't there, so I don't really know what went down, but that's just my impression. But this is basically a continuation. It's kind of the same sound that was a little bit more evolved. I'd say it's sort of like going from the leap that went from, say, the Beatles' Help to Revolver, if that kind of makes sense. There's a lot of sort of like sweet, innocent songs on here, and this is a little bit more mature, a little bit more grown up, if that there's such a thing, but it's still super fun. The songs are all lighthearted. I think only one song breaks the 3-minute mark, and the two songs break the 3-minute mark, but the rest are barely over 2 minutes, a lot of them, and I really like that. They're don't bore us, get to the chorus, short and brief, state your piece and get out, and don't waste your time with ridiculously long jams. So that's what makes this a little bit more of a garagey sounding thing versus like the jam bands that were popping up by 1968, and I kind of like the shorter songs myself. There's a song called Driving Sideways Down a One-Way Street. That kind of reminds me a little bit of Just Dropped In to See What Condition My Condition Was In, sort of that same sort of psychedelic play on words. It's a little bit far out and trippy. And this must have been a way more popular album because an original will only set you back about $100 to $200, whereas an original Fapper-Dockley is about $1,000. So I paid about $30 for this reissue, which also came out in Europe in late 2024. This came out on the wonderful Gerson label. It's Guerssen. They are out of Catalonia, Spain. It seems like people in Spain have really good taste in music. They seem to love 60s garage and surf. Sometimes I think maybe I should move there because it seems like they have a lot of garage rock themed events, festivals, music festivals, get-togethers. They have reissue labels like this that are pretty awesome. That's the other thing about Fapper-Dockley is it kind of reminded me, it has kind of a surfy sound on a few songs, which is really cool. I love surf rock, and I especially love a blend of surf and psych. And I actually first heard HMS Bounty on this late 80s compilation called Bobbles, which came out on Big Beat Record. It has 2 of their songs on here. According to the Bobbles compilation liner notes, the Merrill, Fankhauser, and Fapper-Dockley story deepens a little bit with a Captain Beefheart and Frank Zappa connection because Fankhauser lived in the same Lancaster desert as those two. In fact, 2 members of Captain Beefheart's magic band, John French and Jeff Cotton, were part of Fankhauser's group Fapper-Dockley. When they broke up around 1966-67, Merrill formed HMS Bounty out of their ashes. So after HMS Bounty, Fankhauser reunited with Jeff Cotton, who had quit the Captain Beefheart band following Trout Mask Replica, and the 2 of them formed the band MU in 1969. Now that is something I've not heard yet, and maybe that's something I need to track down next. So a little bit more about the HMS Bounty story as told by Mr. Fankhauser himself. In his words, our first single, Things, an LP of the same title, was released in November 1968 and made it on many radio charts across the US and even made it on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. So again, this album sold a lot better, which is probably why it's a lot easier to find, or a lot cheaper anyway. We were very happy we were opening up in concert with many big bands of the day like Canned Heat, Chicago, and many others. Then just as fast as we watched our single go up the charts, we watched as it started to fall. Uni Records had signed and released Neil Diamond's album, and it really seemed they put all their promotion on him and forgot about us. Uni released another single, Girl, I Am Waiting for You, that got moderate airplay, then disappeared. This hurt the guys in the band, and they just gave up and moved back to the Central Coast and the slower-paced small-town life. The HMS Bounty album stands as one of the great lost treasures of the 1960s and is still popular with young and old alike. Merrill Fankhauser. So, man, I'm so glad to have this. Every time I play it, it gets better, and I probably streamed this on YouTube tens upon tens of times, and I was so glad to finally see this was available in the US on Discogs. And I mean, what a time that we live in, because both of these are easily available with the click of a few buttons, and for 30 and 20 bucks you can get this delivered straight to your front door. I mean, that's crazy. If I'd seen these at a local record shop, obviously I would prefer to buy them in person, but you have a world of infinite options online. So both of these qualify as guilt-free online purchases because I know I'm probably not going to find them cheaper anywhere, or I'm probably not even going to find them anywhere else at all. So I feel like I waited a long time to finally get these, and I don't really feel like I need to track down originals of these because these sound very good to my ears. And these are both like very meaningful albums. They're actually very soulful too. That's another genre that kind of overlaps here. It's like psychedelic, garage, surf, fuzz, and soul, but wrapped into concise little pop songs. In my next video, I'm going to go over my completely ridiculous July in-store haul. I probably picked up something like 30 records. I'll be honest about what I regret, what I'm glad I got, and how I'm trying to rein in these kind of impulse purchases that I make sometimes. I'm like a kid in a candy store and a record store sometimes, and I got to curtail that habit a little bit because I'm running out of space to put all these things, and I'm just running out of time to appreciate and listen to these albums, and it's kind of frustrating if I have a pile of 30 albums and I can only listen to 5 to 10 per week. So I want to ask you this. Do you ever fall down into the Discogs rabbit hole? Do you look for multiple items from the same seller just to save on shipping? Please let me know how you try to buy more intentionally. I would love to hear your thoughts on that, and I'll see you next time.
Orange giant, orange giant, orange giant, orange giant, orange giant, orange giant, orange giant.